Joining me now is the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. Congressman, thanks so much for taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate the chance.
So let's set aside the White House messaging. Just as a matter of fact, Iran and the U.S. are shooting at each other. Are we back at war?
Yes. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. If you're lobbing missiles at each other, and Iran is targeting our bases, as I understand it, in Kuwait and Bahrain, they're targeting ships, and we are now aggressively hitting Iran. We don't know yet the details. Apparently, the latest U.S. strikes on Iran have just kicked off, but they seem substantial. It's more than just a proportional response for Iran's attacking the ships yesterday. And look, it represents a breakdown in this negotiation. Now, understand, I mean, Trump put us in a horrible position by starting this war in the first place. What we're basically negotiating now is how much to pay Iran to open up the strait when the strait was open before the war began. And we haven't made progress on the key objectives. But I will say, I think Iran is kind of pushing their luck a little bit. I mean, they had a pretty good deal here where they could get paid to open the strait. Instead, they wanted to say, well, we'll open the strait a little bit. Not entirely, and that's why they're shooting at some ships going through the lanes they don't want them to go through. Now I think we're looking at a protracted conflict, and the negotiations are going to be in trouble for a while.
Let me ask you this, because the administration has said two things. They said, one, the U.S. has obliterated Iran's offensive capabilities. Clearly not true, because they're still able to threaten shipping, U.S. bases in the region. But two, that Iran is scared, right, and that this military pressure will force them to the table. Is it a matter of fact, again, that U.S. military pressure is being eroded to some degree, at least in terms of accomplishing what the administration says its goals are here, which is to force Iran to the table and to make real concessions?
No, look, that was always the problem with this. And I had these arguments, and we've heard a lot of people criticize Trump from the right, from the hawkish side point, saying, well, he should finish the job, quote unquote. The problem is finishing the job implies that there's something militarily that we could do that would officially break Iran and get them to capitulate. That has always been the assumption. That assumption has always been wrong, because all Iran has to do is survive. Yes, I know their navy is in the bottom of the ocean. Their air force is destroyed. We've blown up a whole bunch of missile launchers. And yes, we have weakened them, but they don't have to be terribly strong to threaten the strait and threaten the region. They just have to have a few missiles and a few drones. You're not going to be able to, quote, finish the job, unquote, to the point where it breaks Iran. That was always the flaw in the argument for starting this war in the first place. And now we're in that hole. And yes, final point, the Trump administration, have they ever told the truth about this conflict? Have they ever said anything that was accurate? So relying on what the White House says about where this conflict is at is a fool's errand.
So to that point, let me ask you this, because the president started the day by saying he believes the ceasefire with Iran may be over. But then he somewhat qualified that later by saying, well, I don't think the war will restart. And I wonder if you believe that unclear messaging is deliberate, perhaps to calm the oil prices, as we saw oil market go up. But also, you know the law here, right? Because we're at war. If we're at war, then a 60-day clock should start ticking again if it hasn't already expired.
Yeah, no, I think what it really reflects, and there's a lot of different layers in the question that you just asked, but the primary thing it reflects is Trump in his mind knows what he wants. Okay, he wants to be the guy who isn't in a war, okay, because the war is bad and constituents don't like it. He also wants to be the tough guy who breaks our adversary in Iran and forces them to do what we want. So he simply says things that fits his sort of mental narrative of where he would like to be, completely disconnected from the reality of where we actually are. And where we actually are is we are absolutely in a war with Iran. We're lobbing missiles at each other, and we are unable to use our military force, as I mentioned, to break them to the point that Trump wants to break them. So Trump is basically trying to fight back against reality by saying, no, we're not at war. And of course, we've totally defeated Iran, and Iran's going to do what I want. That's what he wants to believe in his own mind. Reality tells us a very, very different story.
So let me ask you this. Is a new vote in Congress on the president's war powers as they relate to Iran likely to be in the offing? As you know, back on June 23rd, very briefly, the Senate voted to move it forward, and then two Republican senators changed their vote and reversed. Do you believe there'll be the votes in the House now?
I don't know. This is always a very difficult thing, because obviously Congress should have greater say in the U.S. going to war than we have. not just under this president, but under many previous presidents. And keep in mind, even if we pass this resolution, depending on the form it takes, it's either non-binding or it has to go to the president, and the president would veto it. And then for it to actually have legal effect, we would have to get 2/3 vote. And even then, every administration has pretty much believed that the War Powers Resolution was an unconstitutional check on Article 2 power. So then we'd have a lawsuit over that. So that the votes in Congress don't reflect something that's actually going to stop the war. It does reflect pressure on the Republicans to finally stand up to Donald Trump. Trump is pushing a terrible, terrible policy, as he has all across the board. And Republicans may quietly complain about it, never publicly vote for it. This is an opportunity to give them the chance to say, no, this war in Iran is a terrible idea. Regardless of the practical impact, we want to be on record saying this should stop.
Yeah, often a big distance between the private complaints and the public statements on many issues. Congressman Adam Smith, thanks so much.
And thanks, Jim.
We're going to go live to Tehran now, where CNN senior international correspondent Fred Pleitkin